Welcome into the YouTube. Welcome into our Thursday night football breakdown. Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants, both 1-2, oddly enough. I know it sounds crazy to say, but both 1-2 walking into a game against each other. We're going to break down the Cowboys offense first. Without further ado, let's get into it. But all of this data, guys, this is used for your parlays. It's used for your fantasy start sets. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how I do it. And if you're new to the YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like this video. If you enjoy this type of content, there's plenty more for you. But let's talk about these breakdowns. So the Dallas Cowboys offense is something that's very, very fascinating. So when I don't know how I feel about the Cowboys offense overall, because there's a very interesting pattern in terms of where they pass the ball. You look at the wide targets for the Dallas Cowboys, and you would think, like, this is a passing offense. You got CeeDee Lamb. They are, was that sixth worst? Sixth worst in the NFL. Sixth worst in the NFL in wide target rate. In wide target rate. Remember I said that. Wide target rate. So they don't throw the ball out wide a ton. You're like, what the hell? That makes no sense. They have CeeDee Lamb. Well, I want you guys to go look at the routes in about a minute with me before I bring you to data point number 2, which is the back target rate. So the Dallas Cowboys, interestingly enough, are pretty high in targeting running backs. So you look at the route distribution throughout the first 3 games for the Dallas Cowboys, and it's a lot of Rico Dowdle and it's a lot of Ezekiel Elliott. But when you just break down last week, Rico Dowdle, significantly more routes. So they're the 7th highest back target percentage team in the entire NFL. And then again, we'll go to a different little point of view here. Slot target rate, really nothing to write home about. They're not in the top 10, so it's 35.9%, nothing crazy. They're number 12. And then inline target rate, they are 10th. So they're 10th in inline target rate, which is worth noting, but we got to make sure Jake Ferguson's routes are from inline rather than slot, because sometimes that gets lost in translation when you just look at tight end numbers where the tight ends are running their routes from. It's inline slot. It's very different. So we'll break that down really quick. We'll go back into the routes run by this Dallas Cowboys team. Again, if you guys are on TikTok right now, if you're on Instagram right now, I am personally walking you through all of the data I am using for my fantasy breakdowns, my parlay breakdowns, everything like that on YouTube. Click the link in my bio, join the YouTube live stream. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already as well. But I'm breaking down everything so you guys can see how I go about this. So looking at the route distribution for the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys. All right. So obviously CeeDee Lamb is the most routes on the team, but it's not about overall routes. It's about where the routes come from. So slot routes. CeeDee Lamb, 61 of his, 109 routes are from the slot. Remember, we just talked about it. Dallas doesn't throw the ball out wide a ton. It's really interesting to note that, because the guys who run the routes out wide, and it makes sense when you think about it, it's Jalen Tolbert and Brandon Cooks more than CeeDee Lamb. Actually, like 30 more routes from Cooks, or 30 more routes from Tolbert, like 27 more routes from Cooks compared to CeeDee Lamb out wide. So CeeDee Lamb is very clearly the slot guy and not the wide guy. You look at the slot route distribution, CeeDee Lamb is almost double both Cooks, Ferguson, and Tolbert. But again, like we just talked about 2/3 of Ferguson's routes come from slot rather than inline. Now, Ferguson is the leader in inline routes, and it's important to understand he's played, 2 games, and he's still the leader. So that is definitely something to note. Ferguson is averaging 8? So Jake Ferguson's averaging 8 inline routes per game. And the Giants, we'll talk about their defense in a minute, but the Cowboys throw the ball to inline tight ends, the 10th highest rate in the NFL, which is super important to note. And they're doing that without Ferguson for 1 game too. So you think if you had Ferguson for that extra game, maybe they throw it inline a little bit more. You wait to see. You don't really know, but that is definitely something to note. Let's look at back targets. As you guys know, I made a point about the back targets very early on in this video. Zeke, Dowdle, pretty even first 2 weeks. Week 3, we'll look at overall first, but week 3, it was not that even. So Dowdle, 32, Zeke, 28, Lepke, the fullback, 14. Let's just go to week 3. This is what fascinates me right now. Week 3, Dowdle, 14, Lepke, the fullback, 9, Zeke, 6. So Dowdle had more than double the routes run out of the backfield than Zeke did. Zeke had no other routes run, if I'm correct. No, he had 2 from out wide. But again, that's probably empty set stuff. That's not really Zeke's cup of tea. Did he have a catch from either of those? Let's see. No, he did not. And he did not even have a target from out there. So don't have to worry about that with Zeke. Dowdle also had 2 extra routes out, and he had also had no targets out there. So not really anything to write home about. But for those of you guys who are on the YouTube right now, I have a question for you. What I want you to do is go on to Underdog, Sleeper, Better, whatever you guys use. Make sure you join with code LEADS if you're not on them already. And let me know Rico Dowdle's yards, Rico Dowdle's catches, because I'm going to continue to break this data down, but it's definitely going to be worth noting. So Dowdle was the route guy to the backfield in week 3, overall route guy, but week 3 route guy in the backfield. Again, if you guys are on TikTok and Instagram right now, what we're doing is live on YouTube. You can click the link in my bio to join and subscribe. We are going through all of the data in terms of coverage, run scheme, to make sure everybody's on the same page for their parlays, their player props, everything like that for the week 4 matchups, but more specifically Thursday Night Football right now. So 14.5 for Dowdle. As we can continue to compare past matchups, that is definitely worth something, or worth making note. 6 worst wide target rate. I don't like going less thans or the unders. I don't really do that. 2 receptions, 14.5. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. I will come back to that. And again, all of this stuff, guys, will be on X and on Instagram tomorrow. That will be where that goes. The finalized picks will be there too. But let's talk about what the Giants do defensively, because we can't make picks on all of this stuff without going through what the Giants do defensively. That's a huge, huge portion of this. So let's look at the target rate and everything for the New York Giants. I personally, researched the Giants a little bit, so I know what to expect here. But here's the issue. Cowboys don't throw the ball out wide. The Giants allow a lot of wide targets. It's kind of a tough beat there. So the Giants actually are the fourth highest out wide target rate in the NFL. So when you look at the Brandon Cooks numbers, the Jalen Tolbert numbers, you feel less confident with that. So I'm staying away there for sure. You look at slot target rate, the Cowboys are, what do we say, middle of the pack, right? The Giants are, dead last in the NFL. So the Giants are dead last in the NFL in target rate, which makes me think, going a little bit deeper in the schematic stuff, this is the first time the Giants have played the Cowboys in a few years without Wink Martindale. So it'll probably be a more zone-centric offense, or defense, keep CeeDee Lamb limited in terms of yardage, but not catches type deal. So if I'm going to lean anything for CeeDee Lamb, because he is the slot guy, it's catches over yards, but we're staying away in that sense because Cowboys are, middle of the pack. Giants are dead last. So there's no real confident lean. But let's look at inline and back stuff. So I think that could be where we get a little bit of an edge. Aha, there you go. Okay. So New York Giants are 10th in the NFL in inline target rate. Make sure this is defense too. I'll make sure I'm doing this right. Yeah. 10th in the NFL in inline target rate. Guess what? The Cowboys are 10th in the NFL in inline target rate offensively. So to me, it's Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson is where we are looking right now. But what I want to make sure we talk about is the lack of slot stuff, because Ferguson ran a lot of routes from the slot. For those of you guys who are on YouTube right now, one of you guys, I want you to check out what Ferguson's yards and catches are. We'll write them down. But right now, that's where I'm going to lean. Again, if you guys are on TikTok and on Instagram, click the link in my bio. We are breaking down Thursday Night Football data live on my YouTube for your fantasy teams, everything you need. Click the link in my bio to join that. Make sure you're subscribed as well. But I want you guys to look up the Ferguson numbers for me, because he's injured. He's coming back from an injury. I don't know how I feel about that. 40.5 and 4 on Underdog. Okay. 40.5, 4 receptions, 4 flat, 4.0, or is it 3.5 for catches? 4.0. Okay. I don't mind the 4, to be honest with you. Let's wait till we dive into the run scheme data. But I don't mind that. We still got to look at back target though, because that was the big thing for Dallas. They throw the running back to the 7th highest rate in the NFL. The Giants allow 13. That we said Dowdle's catches was 2.0. That is definitely going to be something we're look at. That is, I don't know, guys. Like right now, I'm most confident in Ferguson in the pass game. I'll have to track back in terms of data where target rate comes. It's also important to know the Browns didn't target backs a ton last week, but they were productive when they did. So maybe we lean yards over catches for Dowdle, but Dowdle's definitely somebody we're looking at. And then Jake Ferguson's another big one we're looking at right now, and that's in terms of pass game. Let's go look at run data for the Giants offense or Giants defense against this Cowboys offense. And again, if you guys are on YouTube, you're not subscribed, make sure you do. Make sure you get some of this data for free. Again, this is live right now. You can jump on this. You can get ahead of this if you want to. It'll be posted in about 3 hours, but subscribe if you're not already. And then anybody on TikTok and Instagram right now, we are live on YouTube, breaking all this stuff down. Click the link in my bio to join. Let's look at run scheme data. I don't think we're going to find much on either end here, to be fully honest with you. We can look at the Cowboys offense first. I know we're going to find stuff for the Giants offense against the Cowboys defense, though, so we'll stay here. But Cowboys offense, yards per carry, 29th in the NFL. Are they better in any type of run than the other? Let's see. So that's not going to help us. They're pretty even in terms of zone man. Less than 3 yards a carry in zone. A little over 3 yards a carry in man, but they're worse comparatively to everybody else in man. Like, that's not going to happen. I think, if anything, that shows us they're going to pass the ball more. So just my note for Cowboys run offense, Cowboys run O equals really bad. Cowboys run O equals really bad. So again, if you guys are new to my philosophies here, right now we are 18-9 with these player projections throughout the first 3 weeks, which is pretty good. But we're going to continue to get better as data goes. But what I don't do is I don't do less thans. I don't do unders. That's not really my thing. I personally think it's no fun. It's also tougher to research. So I feel more confident in this stuff. Let's look at the advanced rushing defensively, though, for the Giants, because from what I understand, they're pretty middle of the pack. Let's see. New York Giants. This is defense, right? Oh, okay. Maybe not. Okay. So overall, 5 yards a carry. Okay. So Giants run D 6th worst. Interesting. Let's look at the attempts, though. I wonder if that's because teams are passing on them more. And middle of the pack in terms of attempts, I don't really think the Cowboys are going to run the ball much. They don't really. But good to know. Cowboys were a tiny bit more man gap centric. They were better in man gap centric, I guess. But Giants run defense zone 5th worst. The Cowboys don't do it a ton. Okay, 5th worst. Giants run defense against man gap 10th. Okay. So 10th worst in the NFL in man gap. So that's really difficult to break down. That's difficult to find an edge with in the run game. Now, personally, if I'm picking something on the Dallas side offensively, it's pass. Like, I'm not gonna feel comfortable in any sense in terms of rush production. What I will ask you guys who are on the YouTube right now, though, go check out Rico Dowdle's rush receiving combined. I want one of you guys to check that out and let me know the number there, because I wonder if the Cowboys pull away, which I think this is like a hungry dog runs faster. Cowboys come in and blow the Giants out, to be fully honest with you. I wonder if there's a lean there where Dowdle still gets his targets early in the game, because he will. And then the rush production pushes that over. Somebody check that out for me. I'm not fully sure, but that would probably be where I would lean. It's tough, but probably be where I would go. 56.5. Okay. It's worth noting for sure. So right now, early leans for Dallas would be Ferguson. Yards, catches, we'll have to look, but Ferguson for sure. And then it would probably just be Dowdle's. It would probably be Dowdle's receiving. Probably catches. 2 catches is not much. Receiving and then rushing. So those are the 3 early leans right now. That's the Dallas offense versus the Giants defense. I like the Giants offense numbers a little bit more, but that is where I'm leaning right now. Let's break down the other side of this. That's a lot tougher, but the Giants offense against the Dallas defense, I have 2 pretty confident leans, so I'm not really worried about finding at least 3 or 4 for you guys. Bottom line is the Dallas run defense. I'll pull up their day in a second here. It's bad. Like the Dallas run defense is really, really bad. Again, if you guys are on Instagram, on TikTok right now, you're watching me live, you're not sure what I'm doing, I'm live on YouTube. You can click the link in my bio. Make sure you're subscribed over there if you're not already. But we're breaking down Thursday Night Football data live early. So you guys can get all of this data before anybody else does. But you got to be subscribed on the YouTube to check it out. Click the link in my bio to do it. We will be live. We're halfway done. So if you guys did miss the first half of it, it'll be posted here in about 3 hours. But you got to be subscribed to see that too. So click the link in my bio to join that. Let's break down this Dallas rush defense. It's bad. They are dead last in the NFL in terms of yards per carry. They are dead last in the NFL in terms of yards per game. Here's what's scary. Teams aren't running the ball. They are. They run the ball 103 times in 3 games. That's a lot. So Dallas is worse. They're the worst in the NFL in yards per game. Yards per carry. Let's go deeper into the scheme data, though. Zone for Dallas. Let's see. Because I know the Giants are man gap heavy. So Dallas is 4th worst. 5.53 yards per carry. 4th worst. And then man, oh boy. 6.21 yards per carry allowed for the Dallas defense. That is ridiculous. That it's 2nd worst in the NFL. Whoa! The Commanders are the worst. That's good to note for this week for sure. Wow, I did not even think about that. Did not know that. Wow, that came as a surprise to me. I'm not gonna lie. The Commanders are the worst zone run team in the NFL. Wow, or man gap run team in the NFL right now. That's crazy. Okay, Dallas has faced a lot more zone than man, so that would probably play a part in this. Definitely worth noting there. Yeah. How many zone attempts? 59 zone attempts to 28. Oh, yeah, that's not a lot. Okay. But the Dallas run defense is bad. That's the bottom line here. Let's look at the Giants run offense. Again, it's good, efficient, but what the matchup suggests is more than anything else. So the New York Giants, 4.2 yards per carry, not great. 4.2 yards per carry overall. That's 19th in the NFL. So it's not great. It's not like they're pushing people up front and this is the matchup of dreams, but the advanced stuff is going to help us out a lot here. Let's scroll down a little bit. Okay, so zone, not really the Giants' cup of tea. They are 21st in the NFL in zone, but that's not why we're here. We're here for the man gap stuff. So they're 21st in the NFL in zone. 3.67 yards per carry, 21st. I mean, that's not great, but look at the man gap, guys. Watch how far they're going to shoot up this list. 12th in the NFL in man gap scheme runs, and they run double the amount of those as others. Now, 4.88 yards per carry in man gap is good. 12th in the NFL. We said 12th in the NFL. But what really fascinates me about Devin Singletary this week is the overall rushing and receiving. So what I want you guys to do who are on the YouTube right now, go check again. Devin Singletary rush receiving combined. Again, if you guys are on TikTok and on Instagram right now, we are breaking down Thursday Night Football data live on my YouTube. Click the link in my bio, subscribe over there. You're getting all of this data early if you're subscribed on my YouTube. We're going live, making sure everybody has their data. Go click link in my bio and do it. Do not miss out on that. But yeah, somebody who's on Underdog or Prize Picks or whatever it may be, Singletary numbers, 80.5. Yeah, I like that. I like 80.5 a lot. I'm not going to lie. I do. Game stays close, he could hit that rushing, but that's overall rushing and receiving. And I say overall rushing and receiving because I'm going to pull this up right now. We'll go to the coverage data here. I say overall rushing and receiving because the Dallas Cowboys are the second worst team in terms of opposing running back target percentage, I believe. Yeah, second highest opposing running back target percentage. So that was part of the reason one of our plays of the week last week was Justice Hill receiving yards, and he hit in the second quarter. And they actually had to get away from the pass game as the game went on too. So Dallas coverage-wise, it is a ton of soft stuff. It was a lot of 3 against the Browns in week 1, kind of got back into their shell look week 2. Then week 3, they had to kind of load the box a little bit and they still got burnt. But second highest back target rate in the NFL. Second highest back target rate in the NFL. Let's look at the other stuff right now. Nothing, at least that comes to the top of my head, that was really worth noting about the Cowboys in terms of their other target percentages. So they're, do we pass them? Oh, okay. Fifth in the NFL in inline target percentage. Wow. Okay. That's interesting to note too. Because the Giants don't love their tight end stuff, but they do like putting their tight ends in line and throwing to them. So that's good to note too. We'll look at the Giants route distribution there. In terms of slot targets, receivers, we're not going to see much here. Dallas is 30th in the NFL in terms of slot targets, so we are not looking there. Wide targets, Dallas is 13th. So we look there. That's Neighbors. That we'll definitely take a look at that because of how much the Giants throw Neighbors' way, as well as just throw the ball outside. So let's look at the Giants' route participation right now. All right. So Giants route participation right now in terms of where these players are running routes. Fascinated to see the running back stuff, but overall right now, Neighbors is dominating out wide, which is not a surprise to a lot of people. 79% of routes are out wide. So anybody on the YouTube right now, I want you guys to go check out Neighbors' yardage as well as Theo Johnson. I want you guys to check out Theo Johnson's numbers. Theo Johnson. Remember the name. Theo Johnson. Neighbors is the out wide guy. Interesting to note with Slayton, though. Slayton has run a lot of routes. He's not seeing a ton of targets per route run, but when he does get targeted, he's averaging almost a yard per route run. So that's definitely important to note. We can do the math on those yards and how many routes he should run against Dallas this week. But yeah, anybody on YouTube right now, check out the Neighbors yards, check out the Slayton yards. Or not Slayton, sorry, Theo. Wow, 14. That might be where we go. Wow, that's really interesting. Okay, good to know. 14.5 and 1.5 for Theo's wild. That might be where we lean. Again, if you guys are on TikTok, on Instagram right now, you don't know what we're doing. We are breaking down Thursday Night Football data live on my YouTube. Click the link in my bio, subscribe there. You're getting all this stuff for free early. You just got to subscribe to my YouTube. Don't miss out on this stuff. That is crazy. 14.5 and 1.5 for Theo is wild. Wow. Okay, what are the Neighbors numbers, though? Neighbors numbers. Can't say that 5 times fast. Inline routes, it is so heavy, Theo. Man, it is heavy, Theo. But Bellinger's more yards per route run. Interesting. Okay. Neighbors 71.5 and 6.5. 71.5 to me is low. Okay, we'll write that down for Neighbors. 71.5 is low for me. But Theo, I love Theo, dude. Wow. That's fascinating. Huh. Okay, good to know. Inline stuff, Theo Johnson is see what the week 3 routes looked like for him. I'm more curious about that. He's also got 12 in the slot. Oh, it wasn't even close. He had 5 times as many routes as Bellinger last week. Did Bellinger get targeted last week? Yeah, he did. Okay. He had 1 target. Theo had 2 in the slot last week, or 2 in line last week, none in the slot. Look, I think Theo Johnson 2 catches is what we bank on, guys. I love that. I love that. I love that. So Theo Johnson dominates the routes there. Let's just make sure the Giants are at least average when it comes to inline target percentage because they're so high out wide. But Singletary and Tracy, that's the other thing I want to look at in terms of back route participation because Tracy played a good amount, but Singletary had almost triple the amount of routes. A lot of yards per route run. We love to see that. Look at that, guys. Almost 3 yards per route run for Devin Singletary. That's really, really, really good. Singletary, 88.2% route participation. Or no, 68.2%. 68.2% route participation, 2.87 yards per route run. It's real good stuff, guys. That's good stuff. So that for Singletary. Theo Johnson in line. I mean, he had 5 times as many routes as Belly did last week. So that's good to know. I mean, 2 catches for Theo to me is insane. I think that's really, really low. And then Slayton's the other one. I don't love it. Let's just check out the Giants' overall pass concept target percentage. So out wide, I told you guys they're very high. I think they're 4th in the NFL, right? 3rd in the NFL in out wide target percentage. So that's great for Neighbors. 51%. That's great. They don't throw to tight ends, though. That's what scares me with Theo. So they're 25th in the NFL in terms of target percentage in tight ends. I don't love that, to be honest with you. That scares me away from Theo Johnson a little bit. We'll do some math with the yards per route run because I think that the low number there scares me away from Theo Johnson 2 catches. But we can do some math with the yards per route run and how much we expect to see from Theo Johnson in that game in terms of routes. And then we can move from there. 15 yards is not a lot, but it's Theo Johnson. The Giants don't throw their tight end. So it's interesting to note. But Singletary is what I love the most. The Giants are 11th in the NFL in back target percentage. Like that, to me, that's my favorite play at Thursday night. Yeah, Singletary. And it's tough. I'll probably go scrimmage yards, to be honest with you guys, at 80.5 right now. I'll probably go scrimmage yards, but the rush yards, if the Giants can keep it close, if you're convinced the Giants can keep it close, I would just lean rush yards because it's that bad. But I'll crunch some numbers in terms of Singletary's overall production too. I want to make sure he's at least gotten close to touching it. But that's where we will go with our early leans. So early leans right now on the Giants side, Singletary rushing, receiving for sure. Neighbors receiving we like a lot. And then Theo Johnson, man. Theo Johnson. Something about him. Something about Theo Johnson. I don't know. For those of you guys on YouTube, what do you think in terms of Theo Johnson? I'm curious. Do you like it? Do you like receptions? Do you like yards? What do you guys think about Theo Johnson? Again, if you guys are on TikTok, on Instagram, I'm breaking this down live on my YouTube. Click the link in my bio, subscribe there. You will get a firsthand look at all of this Thursday Night Football data, all of the Thursday Night Football data. Click the link in my bio, subscribe. But what do you guys think of Theo Johnson receiving? Low targets on him first 3 games. Don't like it a lot. See that to me pushes me away from receptions instead of yards. I'm with you. The target stuff pushes me away from receptions. But the yards is 15, guys. The yards is 15. Like, let me do a little game log research for him quick. I really don't mind it. A lot more usage last game too. Let's see, game log. So 18 week 1, 0 week 2, 13 week 3. So maybe 15 is a little bit high. Okay. Maybe we'll push Theo Johnson to the side for right now, but I like Neighbors a lot. Singletary is my favorite play of the week. It's just a matter of which is better rushing and receiving, or just rushing, or just receiving, to be honest with you. That could be something we look at too. But we will look there. So the overall leans right now, guys, and I will read this. And again, if you're watching the YouTube, if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already. Like this video if you enjoy this type of content too. We have plenty more for you. But early leans right now, number one, this is not in any particular order, just what we found. Jake Ferguson, I'm leaning catches over yards for right now. But Jake Ferguson, right? The Dallas Cowboys have the 10th highest inline route target percentage. Ferguson had 8 inline routes per game because he missed week 2. Remember that. And the Cowboys still threw the ball their tight ends a bunch without Ferguson for one of those 3 games. It's good to note. On the other side, the Giants are allowing the 10th highest inline target rate to opposing tight ends in the NFL. I like it a lot. Giants also really haven't played a super high quality tight end yet. So I think the Cowboys exploit that matchup a little bit, assuming Ferguson is healthy, assuming Ferguson plays. So I like that a lot. Ran some routes from the slot. So if you get a target or 2 there, we will like that too. The other one, Rico Dowdle, I'm leaning receiving over rush. Could do overall, could do receptions. 2 catches, not a ton. But we saw it last week with the Browns. It wasn't a ton of volume in the pass game, but really, really productive when they saw the ball. So the Giants are 13th highest in the NFL in terms of opposing slot or running back target rate allowed. And then Dallas is the 7th highest back target percentage in the NFL. They love checking it down. It's the same case on the other side of the ball. We'll talk about that in a second. But Ferguson, Dowdle, love those. As for CeeDee Lamb, he's matchup proof. If I'm going to put anything on or lean any way towards Lamb, it's probably going to be catches over yards based on how much soft zone I think we're going to see. Part of the reason I love Dowdle so much. Make the Cowboys score in the red zone. Cowboys red zone concepts are pretty predictable. I think the Giants will do a good job there. Other side of the ball, Dallas has the 2nd highest back target percentage in the entire NFL, while also having the worst yards per game and yards per carry allowed, especially man gap scheme runs. Cowboys are allowing 6.21 yards per carry. It's the 2nd worst in the NFL. The Giants are averaging 4.88 yards per carry in those man gap scheme runs. It's the 12th highest in the NFL. It's also, well, what do we say? The double. So they run double the man gap and they do zone. It's the forefront of their offense. It's the forefront of their overall scheme when it comes to running the ball. Kevin, I mean, I would, if I had to pick something for CeeDee Lamb, I would pick catches instead of yards. Coverage-wise, again, 5th highest inline rate to opposing tight ends, but the Giants don't really throw the ball to tight ends a ton. So that scares me away from Theo Johnson a little bit. That would be more of a fun pick than anything else. So I'm not moderately confident in that. But the Giants are the 3rd highest out wide target team in the NFL. They have Malik Neighbors. 80% of his routes come out wide. Cowboys are above average in terms of what they allow out wide. Obviously, their forefront of their game plan is going to be stop Malik Neighbors, let other people beat them, but they don't allow like any targets to the slot. Neither team does here, so I'm staying away from the slot a little bit. But Neighbors at 71.5 to me is a little bit low, so I like that. That is what we have for both sides of the ball. Nothing really to write home about with the Cowboys run O versus the Giants run D. They both are bad, so I'm going to stay away from both of them. The Cowboys also don't have any type of tip on which scheme they like to run the ball in a little bit more. So I'm going to stay away from that too. I don't love that. So it's Ferguson, Dowdle, Singletary, Neighbors, and then I'm thinking about Theo Johnson. Again, all of this stuff will be posted on TikTok, X, Instagram. So make sure you guys are following on there. I'll put a link in the description too. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys hopping on. We will see you next.